Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kandramauli. Jerry. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Prabhupada ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur, Prabhupada. You have that book, which is very natural living, in English. Huh? Bring it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 6, Chapter 18. There's two verses that were given, but I'm going to go to the second one, which is verse number 52. Didi vows to kill King Indra. So this it's an interesting section where Indra had killed her sons, had arranged for her sons to be killed. Who was her sons? Who knows the sons of Diti? Who were they? Hmm? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, two big demons. So now she wants revenge. So she approaches her husband. He tells her she can create a personality who can kill Indra, but she has to follow this strict vow, which is called the Pumsavana ritualistic ceremony. So and it's all about personal austerities, personal restrictions like that. But before we get into that, this verse here, this is verse number 52. Dautavasa Suchir Nityam Sarvamangala Samyuta Pujayat Pratarasat Prag Govipram Shriyam Achutam. Chat.
Dautavasa Suchirnityam Sarvamangala Samyuta Pujayet Pratana Shatra Pujayet Govipran Shriyamachutam.
Anyone else?
Chirnityam Sarvamangala Yes, Vatanashatva Pranshiyamachutam Govipran
Ladies, anyone? Yeah. Dautavasa, wearing washed cloth. Suchi, being purified. Nityam, always. Sarva Mangala, with all auspicious items. Samyuta, adorned. Ujayat, one should worship. Krata asat prak, before breakfast. Go vipran, the cows and the brahmanas. Shriyam, the goddess of fortune. Achutam, the supreme personality of Godhead. So all these verses is instructions from Keshapa Muni to her wife on how she should carry out this ritualistic ceremony. If she performs it perfectly, she can get a son that will be the cause of the death of Indra. So he's instructing here. He says, putting on washed clothing. Yeah, putting on washed clothing. Yeah, being always pure and being adorned with turmeric, sandalwood pulp, and other auspicious items. Before breakfast, one should worship the cows, the brahmanas, the goddess of fortune, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. If one is trained to honor and worship the cows and brahmanas, he is actually civilized. Okay? Outside of that means uncivilized. The worship of the Supreme Lord is recommended, and the Lord is very fond of cows and brahmanas. No, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha. In other words, a civilization in which there is no respect for the cows and the brahmanas is condemned. One cannot become spiritually advanced without acquiring a Brahminical qualifications and giving protection to the cows. Cow protection ensures sufficient food prepared with milk, which is needed for advanced civilization. One should not pollute civilization by eating the flesh of cows. Civilization must do something progressive, and then it is an Aryan civilization. Instead of killing the cow to eat flesh, civilized men must prepare various milk products which will enhance the condition of society. One follows the Brahminical culture, he will become competent in Krishna consciousness. Om Gyan Timirandasya Vinajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Matni Vishnu Padaya Krishna Dastaya Bhutale Madde Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Namaste Satsunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Panchakopa Turvischa Pripa Sindhu Bevacha Didanam Bhavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As is mentioned here in this verse, and also repeatedly mentioned in the first canto, the Bhagavatam explains that there are three principles that make up a human civilization, or you might say a progressive civilization. One is to direct one's activities in life to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, devotion to the Lord. But that must be accompanied by two other essential principles. And what is that? Or essential activities, health protection, and Brahminical culture. Now, these two last ones, one is dependent on the other. And that is, as Srila Prabhupada says, without cow protection, there is no Brahminical culture. Brahminical culture means to act within the mode of goodness, the qualities of the mode of goodness, and to also establish the Varnashram system. The four Varnas, working according to their particular swadharma, or their propensities, as Krishna says, Chaturvarnya Manasya Guna Karma Vibhagasaha, that these four types of living beings have been created by me, the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. And people are born with a particular characteristic, or you might say, inclination in a materialistic way. And that's their swadharma, or their nature, how they best can serve society and also grow in their own qualities and develop their own character. So this Varnashram Dharma, and Srila Prabhupada, um, before he left the world, he was lamenting about one thing. He says, I have one lamentation. It's my unfulfilled desire. He said, I haven't established this Varnashram system. When Prabhupada began the movement back in the early days, he talked a lot about Varnashram, but then very soon after that, he said, the society, referring to materialistic society worldwide, is so topsy-turvy that it's impossible to establish an ashram. So he pushed it aside and said, now our main business is to develop our Krishna consciousness through Bhagavad Dharma, chanting the holy names, reading and studying and applying the knowledge from scripture, and to worship the deity Pancharatrikivedi. But as he went on, in 1974, he changed again. And he again redirected the society. And he said, if chanting the holy name is so easy, why are devotees falling down? Why are devotees falling down? And then he said, now we have to establish this Daivi Manashram to set up an educational system by which we can teach people how to develop their natural inclination and guide that inclination in service to the Lord. In other words, you work according to your nature and you serve according to your nature. He said, and that will create an organized spiritual and social system, both social and spiritual together, where development will be what we say very natural and progressive, both on the individual level and on the social level. So Prabhupada talked a lot about that, and you might say, hundreds of statements outlining what he wanted in terms of developing that particular system. And a lot of it, and he said in his lecture in 1974, it wasn't actually a lecture, it was a morning walk conversation with Hridayananda Maharaj. And Prabhupada was talking about how to set up this Daivi Vanartha. And he was very enthusiastic. And he explained we need to establish these colleges in different places. And the Brahmins within our society will be the teachers. And they will teach the other Varnas the different activities. And collectively, the Brahmins will know all of the other activities and they will teach in a collective sense, not that one Brahmin knows everything. And then they'll teach how to manage and how to fight, which is the Kshatriya's business, protection and also management, and also making sure that those that they work under or those that they lead are getting everything they need. Three things for Kshatriyas, POW, protection, organization, and welfare. These are the three activities of the Kshatriyas. The Brahmanas are, what is it? What is that? Patan, yajan, dana, partigraha. Pata means to know the Shastras. Patan means to teach the Shastras. Yajan means to worship the deity. Yajyan means to teach worship of the deity, and dana particular means to give in charity and accept charitable gifts. These are the six activities of the Brahmins. Now for the Kshatriyas, we mentioned the three: protection, organization, and welfare, caring for devotees from a position of leadership. And then the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas were keeping cows, not only keeping cows, but using cows in the service of the Lord, developing agriculture, developing banking, commerce, and various types of systems of economic development within the society, which would be somewhat distinct from the money system. But saw that the whole money system was actually a cheating system. You can hear it. There's one lecture, Prabhupada. It's not a lecture, it's a morning walk. It's in London. It's actually in London. And uh, December 31st, the last day in the year, 1973. Very interesting discussion about money. Prabhupada just throws the whole idea of paper money as the biggest cheating thing within society because it has no value. You might think, well, it has value, but it has value only because the government says so. I don't know, maybe if you remember a couple of years ago, and also 2 years ago, and also 8 years ago, in 2017 and 2023, I believe it was, our Prime Minister of India, Modi, pulled back certain currency. And people had to prove that they had earned that currency in a legal way. And if they couldn't, there was no exchange for that, and they would lose it. I happened to be in India at the time. People were burning money in the streets because it was useless. You know, it's just paper now. It had no value anymore. So Prabhupada said real wealth is precious metals such as gold, platinum, silver, jewelry, actually. Of course, you don't find this anymore. Lapis lazuli was one of the more rarer gems that are not very hard to find on this planet. Rubies, emeralds, various. This is wealth. Comes from the earth. Land. You have land. You have wealth. And if you have a livestock or animals, you also have wealth. These three things make up the system of wealth, not paper money. And of course, years ago, they used to have coins, which were made out of silver and gold. And then gradually, you'll see now the coins are more like alloy. They even put cement in the coins now because they're pulling back all the gold and silver and all of it and hoarding it. And everybody else gets this, whatever it is. They call it money. You can listen to the lecture or the discussion with Prabhupada. So, and then of course, the we're talking here about the Vaishyas, mostly in Prabhupada's emphasizing in this uh, purport the importance of cow care. And I don't use the word cow protection because that limits the relationship with the cow just to protect them, but to give them everything they need to live happily. Because cows are, we might say, God's gift to human culture and human society. If you have cows and you have land, you can take care of all of your material needs automatically. And of course, here we have a very developing cow system here with many items. But Prabhupada wanted that all over the world. He wanted at least, these farm communities in every place, because he also said that this was in 1973. He said in 50 years, this whole Western civilization it might be a controversial statement. It's where the demons hang out. you, you heard of London City? You know that place. It's in London. London City. You can't even go in there, what to speak about, because it's controlled by very powerful, rich families who control many of the resources around the world and many of the policies around the world. So anyway, but Prabhupada was not only a spiritualist, but he also could understand how things could go, were going to go in the future. So he said, build these farm communities. And then he gave four principles. He said, grow your own food. He said, grow enough food to take care of all of the members of the community and grow more. And that way you can take care of the cows also. You can also feed the cows during the winter time when the cows have very little to eat because they can't graze in the pastures. and we can make extra. You can grow grains, you can grow wheat. There's so many things you can grow that cows will eat. He said, grow your own food. Then he said, make your own cloth. He said, ladies can learn how to using spinning wheels and various types. And you can grow silk, you can grow cotton. Both of those are plants, and you can make clothes from those. And then he said, learn herbs. Like if you go into the forest here, you'll find there's an abundance of herbs that if you know how to use them, you don't need a doctor. I was in one of our communities it was in New Taliban in Mississippi. And one devotee there, his name is Dwi Bucha. He has an herb business, and he goes into the forest. He learned the science of herbs, and he extracts different, herbs from the plants, from the trees, from the creepers, from different, you know, growing. And then he mixes it with certain tinctures, and he's created a business called Blue Boy Herbs. Yeah, well, if you're familiar with that, but he had so many medicines for everything. And his medicines are really good. I'm one of his customers. So, so this is what Prabhupada wanted to learn herbs. There's a whole science. And if you know, if you don't know, you just walk past everything that is actually medicine. The whole forest is full of medicine. It's both curative and preventative, both. And so Prabhupada said that. Then the last thing he said, build your own houses. And then when he was in New Vrindavan, I was there, he came and he was talking to the leaders there and he said, I'll show you the house you should make. So they gave Prabhupada a big piece of paper and they gave him a pencil and he drew a house. Prabhupada drew it. General little rough structure where it's enough for 4 people. Very simple. But he said you can live nicely on this and grow your own food. Cows are there. Now, cows, we think of cows in terms of milk, but that's a very limited understanding of what cows can provide. Cows can provide so much. You don't even need fertilizers, or you need little fertilizers. Cows can walk on the fields and they're hooked. If you have good ground, they make that field fertile for growing simply by walking on it with their hooves. Cow dung, scriptures say Lakshmi, Devi, the goddess of fortune, is within cow dung. Yeah. Cow dung can be used for medicines, can be used for cooking. I began my Krishna consciousness in New Vrindavan, and we cooked with wood. We cooked with wood. So we would look for fallen trees or dead trees, and then we would use that wood for cooking, and we used it for heating also. We had only wood stoves like that. We didn't have any gas heating, and it was simple. It was nice. Of course, yeah, we have to work to develop these things, but once they're developed, then the money that we make in working for the outside society, and we buy the same thing that is available within the earth. Because where do these franchise companies get it from? They get it from the earth. And then they mix it and sell it back to you. It's usually polluted with a lot of chemicals and other types of additives that they put in there just to stretch it out. If you take a glass of milk from the store and you take a glass of milk from one of our cows and you put them both in a refrigerator, a glass of milk from our cows will last 2 or 3 days. The one from the store will last 2 weeks. Chemicals, preservatives, full. And then as soon as you pasteurize milk, it actually destroys its nutritional contents. So this whole science, of course, is given by Krishna on how to live naturally. And Prabhupada said, this is the future of our, not only, he said, not only the future of our movement, but it's the future of the world. And he said, we need to develop this Varnashram system. He said, Daivi Varnashram, that's not materialistic Varnashram. That means we have colleges to train devotees in different skills and activities, and then they can work accordingly. And then there'll be Brahmins to teach, Brahmins to evaluate, Brahmins to, you know, uh, declare, well, this person is actually has the tendencies to work as a Brahmin, this has a tendency to work in. I was working with some devotees. We started this Kshatriya Dharma in ISKCON about 10 years ago. And one person, he was a Kshatriya, and he was in the movement for many years. He said, I tried to become a Brahmin. I couldn't do it. I worked at it. He said I was just really clumsy at it. So, but then I found I'm not. My nature is more of the Kshatriya. So then he started taking training and education in that. And then he started his own institute to train other Kshatriyas like that. So when we have a society like that, we're doing something in Mayapur now. We have a project from Van Ashram College there with Bhakti Raghava Swami and a few other leaders to develop that. But Prabhupada wanted this all over the world. He said for every city temple, there should be a farm community. He says we can grow our own vegetables, have milk products and various sides. And then we take it and we bring it to the city temples. The city temples should have restaurants, he said. And then we can make nice first class prasadam and sell it to people in general. When they become attracted to our prasadam, they'll become devotees. If we have, first class quality foodstuffs that are grown on our own. And Prabhupada made that statement also. He said that the food you grow on your own land is 100 times more nutritious, 100 times, he said, than what you buy in the stores. And that's obvious because what you buy in the stores is all mixed with other chemicals, pesticides, grown GMO, and many other types of artificial ways to bring about what looks like something nice, but is not really very healthy. And people are getting sick from eating nowadays. So Prabhupada wanted us to move to a more natural lifestyle, the way, as it says, Krishna lived. And here is one book that I put in. It says here, Prabhupada says, Krishna is the farmacharya, Balaram is holding the plow, and Krishna is holding the calf. Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you're the farmacharya. He said, no, Krishna is the farmacharya. So Krishna's teaching by his lifestyle, of course, you know. And we understand the value of cows, not only from the material perspective, but from the spiritual perspective also. That cows are used for worship. There's Panchagavya, that you actually worship the deity with 5 substances that come from the cow: milk, yogurt, ghee, cow urine, and cow dung. They actually put cow dung and cow dung urine onto the deity, mix it with water, like that, and that's a form of honoring the Lord, like that. It's an abhishek. So the cow is very, very, what we say, auspicious. If you take care of cows, they'll take care of you. Um, I was, have any of you grown up in India, lived in the village? You did. Okay. Huh?
Not a village.
Not in the village. Okay. Any villagers here? Okay. So I was preaching this message in one city in America, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's talking about cows. one gentleman who had lived in India in a village, he said, we had a cow in our own family. And the cow was like a member of the family. We would treat her like we would treat another family member. So, and the cow became so connected with the persons that if someone got sick in the family, cow would, they would go over to the cow and say, this person is sick. They would whisper in her ear. Then she would go out and look for that herb that would cure that disease, and she would eat it, and they take that milk and they milk it and give it to that person. I was shocked to hear that, but then it sounded right actually also. But then another gentleman said, it's not like that, Maharaj. You don't have to tell the cow. She knows. She knows when someone in the family is sick, and she'll do that automatically. Cows are very perceptive, very perceptive. Out of all of the evolutionary species that we go from the 8 million species of life, the highest evolution within the animal species are the cows. From cows, those who become cows in their next birth, they take birth in the mode of goodness, in a human form, in a family that is in the mode of goodness. Like that. Those who are, well, Prabhupada talks about that in detail. But this idea, taking care of cows, is actually civilized human society. What we see now is people wonder why there's so much turmoil within the world. It's due to killing cows. The Manu Samhita says killing a cow is equal to killing two men. The life of a cow is considered to be even more valuable than the life of a human being, at least according to Manu, at least in proportion. So there's in the Bhagavatam it says 5 types of persons or 5 categories of living entities require protection. And if the society, the leaders, the caregivers, you might say, don't take care of these 5, then they get a sinful reaction for that. And then people suffer. What are the 5 types? Children, women, old people, those who are, and elderly, who need assistance, actually, um, cows and brahmanas. These are the 5. Then Prabhupada explains out of the 5, 2 are considered the most important, cows and brahmanas. But then he goes on to and then he says out of the 2, the cows are the most important, over the brahmanas. So we don't know. We think, well, it's a nice animal. Yeah, it's more than a nice animal. Krishna names his planet after, Goloka, yeah, planet of the cows. He's Gopal, protector of the cows. He's Govinda, one who gives pleasure to the cows. So cows are actually God's gift to human society. And if you take care of cows, they'll take care of everything. They can provide so much for human culture. And they're also very affectionate too by nature. If you treat them nice, if you treat them badly, they will also respond in a very aversive way. There was a story that happened. I saw it. I was on the news too, and then later they made it into a video. There was one slaughterhouse in Louisville, Kentucky, and 6 cows broke out of the slaughterhouse, and they're running in the streets. So then the police came and they're trying to round up, but one cow was the protector of the other 5 cows. So when everyone tried to run him, he would go over there and knock that person or he would try to block it. He was kind of like the leader of the other 5 cows. So it took them a long time, but they finally rounded up these 6 cows and put them back in the slaughterhouse. One lady, she saw it on the news. And she got really, her heart was opened up about these cows. So she said, I want to get these cows. She made a petition that the person says, you have 4 days to come up with the money to buy the cows, otherwise they're going to be killed. So she raised the money in 4 days and took these 6 cows, the same 6, onto, she had a farm. And she said when they were on there, we couldn't approach them because they were fearful. They had developed this defense move and they were very fearful. But she says, gradually, as we showed that we weren't going to harm them, we were trying to take care of them, they changed. And then later on, you can see that people were hugging these cows. Now they have this program called cow hugging, cow cuddling. We actually do that in Michigan also. Ypsilanti, Michigan, we have a farm. And we also do that program called cow cuddling. And the secular society makes a big franchise out of it. They charge like $1,000 an hour. And it's usually kids who have some psychological or some mental problems. Their parents bring them and they pay the money, and the kid stays with the cow for an hour. When he comes out, he's different. He's happy. Seems like all of his depression is gone, at least for the time being. So we do the same thing, but we only charge $40 an hour. So that helps people to get familiar with what cows are like. We're not doing it as a franchise. We're doing it as a preaching program like that. So back to the essence of this particular. Um, so Prabhupada he talks about the importance of milk. Now society says milk is unhealthy. You've heard that now? But if you read the Rig Veda, there's a statement in the Rig Veda that says that cows that know that they're going to be killed are fearful. And so when they milk these cows, that cow secretes a hormone into the milk, which is poisonous for human culture and causes humans to get sick. So that's in the Rig Veda. It's not in some kind of, advertising article or something. So, but when cows are cared for, they know they're not going to be killed. We show them kindness, love, and care. Their milk is so nutritious and so full of vitamins, minerals, and actually, Prabhupada would say, milk, the miracle food for babies and old men, old people. So cows are really God's gift to human society. But now, the most important animal within society is being killed in order just to get some money. You read Prabhupada's books, he's really, you can see, sometimes he gets angry when he talks about it. How the cow is so magnanimous, it's so useful to human, and they take whatever they can for it and then they turn around and kill it. Like that. So, and because of that, heavy karma is on the society. Any country that does that, they get bad karma. And not only the people who are directly involved in it, but the whole society also suffers to some degree or other. So yeah, that's the first business is to yeah. And when you take that milk that's given by protected and happy cows, it nourishes brain tissues. Prabhupada says you must take it hot though. Says if the milk cools down, then it doesn't go to the brain. But if you take it very hot, immediately you can feel it going to your brain when you take it hot. So you can feel it going up. It nourishes brain tissue. And Prabhupada said this is necessary for understanding spiritual principles or spiritual philosophy. So cows are, well, we can't talk about the glories of cows too much. You can take their cow dung, you can get a machine and transfer it into methane gas, and you can use it for heating. You can use it for various other forms of cooking. Methane gas, of course, cow dung. The ladies in India, what they do, tradition is take the cow dung, mix it with paddy, dry it out, and then use it and cook like that. And Prabhupada said, first class cooking, cow dung. Second class, wood. Third class, gas. Fourth class, one doctor told one lady she was sick, don't use your electrical stove, it'll get you more sick. So, yeah, so the society is very dysfunctional. It has nothing to do with human culture, aesthetic values. Everything is about. Prabhupada said the society is run on a false basis. What is that false basis? Money. The human culture is not based on money. It's based on moral, religious, spiritual, aesthetic, human, and family values, not on money. But everything moves by money now. If you have money, you can do things. If you're a criminal and you have money, you can you cover your tracks and pay off whoever you need to pay off. So everything is on money. So I did a little book called Krishna's Way, Natural Living. It's kind of like a summary of what I just said. And in the book, on the page 84, there's a little QR code. You scan your phone, you can hear Prabhupada talking about the importance of this type of lifestyle and also how society will eventually go down more and more unless they actually get back to a human society. So, yeah, this is, I've been selling the book everywhere I go, and this is my last copy. But if anybody is interested, I can get more copies for you. We have some copies coming in about a week to Detroit, so I can make it available from there if you want. It's a nice little book. There's also one thing I also want to mention. We mentioned what is wealth, and we talked about gems and jewelry and where does all of this come from? You find it in the earth, but how does it get into it's into the earth by rain. There's one constellation called Swati. Maybe you've heard of it. They even give a girl's name now, Swati, right? Yeah. Swati is a constellation that comes up not very often, quite rarely in the heavens. And when it rains during that constellation, the water comes down, falls on the head of a snake, becomes jeweled. When it falls on the head of an elephant, it becomes various kinds of gems. And when it falls into the ocean, it becomes pearls and it's taken by the oysters. So, yeah, rain brings actually precious metals to earth. So when you think about it, everything is provided by God through material nature. But that's why we say material nature is mother nature. Mother supplies everything for the children, so everything is there in nature. But we have aborted nature, and uh, we're we're taking what nature gives us in a more polluted form. But when we buy it from the secular society, if for Prabhupada said we should ultimately develop our own society, simple living, cow protection, agriculture, Krishna consciousness. Well, this is what he wanted, and he spoke about a lot in the last year he was here. He said we have to develop this fun ashram, and the farms are the only place where you can really develop. He said it's not possible in the cities. Cities are too topsy-turvy to develop it. But he said, we will keep our preaching centers, our temples in the city, but but for the livelihood of our participants, the devotees, it's the farms. You can develop schools there. You can get everything you need from farms if you develop it. I mean, it takes the time to develop. Devotees get a little bit reluctant, think, oh, how are we going to do it? It takes community to do it. One or two families alone cannot do it. It takes community and it takes time. It takes time to transition. And then you have all of the activities that are there within the society on the farms. You have mechanics, you have people who are doing cooking, you have people, everything that is needed for to carry on life and the services that we need to offer is there on the farms. And you have those, then you have your farmers also. It's not that you go on a farm and you become a farmer. There's persons who have that, what we say the acumen, that ability, and they'll develop like that. So this is Prabhupada's program for the future of our movement, and he said the future of our world. And he says, as society collapses, people from the secular world will come to our farms looking for work, shelter, and we'll teach them Varna. And once we teach them Varna, and they live on our farms, gradually we'll introduce the spiritual element. Mm. Prabhupada had a whole plan on how everything should be, what we say, understood and developed. Okay, we're running close to the end here. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu?
I just had one reflection. I was always thinking about how Prabhupada mentioned that society would collapse, something will happen, and people would look to farm communities. And I
Yeah, that's in this QR code. If you scan your phone, you can hear Prabhupada speaking. Yeah.
I was thinking that because we're so technologically advanced, how could something happen? But then I felt that when COVID occurred, then it felt like we completely surrendered or I could see the use of self-sustaining farm communities and like the temples were thriving in the sense that because food is grown, they have cows in the temple, etc.
Yeah,
And then people like myself in the city were struggling because we couldn't even go to the supermarket to get milk
right.
and resources. So yeah, it's just amazing that Prabhupada could predict that no, don't have too much
Yeah,
advancement because yeah, you'll have this very
yeah. I think maybe that's a little message for us that could happen again in another way, maybe even worse. Said that the gas and electricity goes out, and then what do you do? You have candles, but Prabhupada said grow castor plants, and then you can make castor oil, and you make lamps from that, and then you can light, you can have enough lighting, develop castor. Yes, Sri
There's no other way it's not one, even the damage to the environment is just not sustainable. But I don't see how devotees are even going to be able to do this because, like you said, it's all about technological advancement. We don't have any training in farm. I personally know one young man who his family and went to Tripura. He enthusiastically got into farming, but because he's trained differently, though he comes from a farming background, he was an IIT engineer of some sort. And then when he went back, he did farming. And within 2 years, he back to work.
Well, yeah, but Krishna explains there are persons who have that inclination. And even within our society, we see it. We see it here. We see it in different places. We see it even within city temples. That people are not engaged according to their nature, but they show a certain nature when they do their different services. I could tell you like one particular temple. I won't mention what it is. The pujaris are all kshatriyas. Hare Krishna. That means they all want to do it their way. A kshatriya has to have an area of control, or else he can't function. So, but Brahmins are not like that. They can work together, and they can also, what we say, see what is needed to be done. The kshatriyas, they can also see, but the conclusion is it has to be. I have to be in control. They can't work under people. They have a tendency be independent and to be caretakers and caregivers to others. They like to take care of people. They become policemen, so they become soldiers, they become managers, they become, CEOs. They, in the material world, they're motivated by money, but they still like to be in charge. You might say they have a natural leading propensity, but if it's not trained and developed and geared in a spiritual way, it's just used for exploitation or selfishness. So yeah, that's why Prabhupada said Varnashram college. Without that, it's not going to manifest. We need to have that training session also. Anything else? Nice and loud because I can't hear so well because of the acoustic. Bulls,
Yeah.
bulls are used to plow the land. They are the workforce. Yeah, they can haul things from place to place. They can also plow the land. They're both have use. I mean, it's not in Western society, or at least they kill the bulls right as soon as they're born because they can't see any use for them. And they keep the female so because she can produce. But then when she's no longer used, then they sell her out to the slaughterhouses. The commercial dairies are like that. So the bulls, yeah, the bulls. You talk to Varsana Maharaj in Vrindavan. He talks a lot about the importance of bulls and how we can use bulls for developing the land, for moving things around. You don't need trucks when you have bulls. All you need is some conveyance that you connect with the bulls and they can move anything around. They're strong. So they have every animal has value according to Krishna's arrangement, but cows and bulls especially for human support. We need animals, and they need us, of course, also. Mhm. You had a question? Yeah.
Krishna, yeah, but now we understand in Kali Yuga that there are more Shudras and they're predominant, and also that people are often a mix of two varnas.
In secular society.
Yeah, in general in society. So how do we understand that and apply that for our own services and for
The training, there has to be training. That's why this Prabhupada wanted this Ashram college, which is to train people according to their nature. So you can train leaders. A suitor is a person who can only work under someone. Suitors cannot become independent. They're a good workforce, they're a good support force. They can also be good at crafts and arts like that. But generally, to put them in a position of leadership, they don't have that, what we say, nature, and they don't know how to lead because they don't even know how to manage their own life. They need to work under someone else. Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai. Gaura Nitai Ki Jai. Lalita Vishaka Ki Jai. You have to take out.
That was all me.
Yes. I think we will show this to you. Need it? Take this out. They're deeper. Let's see what else. Take this. Oh, you need it. Oh, Krishna, 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 It's, it's Satan here. Yeah, notice the way and other Sivas more about the vindicating. It's really Radha, Krishna, then we'll go beyond Shalakundam, Giri Govardhaki, Vrindavan Daki, Navadvipmaya Daki, Niganaturi Daki, Idanari Daki, Dhammaki, Jamunamaki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakti Devi, Samaveda Bhakti Ki, Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ravi Giri Shaka Ki, Shri Radha Damodar Ki, Shri Gauratai Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Nitai, Gaur Prayana Devi, glorious to the Son devotees, glorious to the Son devotees, glorious to the Son devotees, to the and to the Prabhupada.
Kind of correct. Yes. The 9 o'clock starts. Oh, is it? 9 o'clock start, I don't know. This is the basic. Retro, do you remember when breakfast starts? Sorry? Do you remember when breakfast starts? I remember us. Data. Yes. Oh, must be good. Where did you plug it in? See, which is really fast. Yeah. Maybe that's 20 minutes.
transcendental celebration, like chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, there is a plan practice because in Hare Krishna process. As Indian spiritual soul, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities that due to association with man from time immemorial, our conscious mind is now polluted and material technology. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to explore sources of material nature. But actually, we are becoming more and more entangled in the complexities. This illusion is called mind. Our hearts travel for existence, cross-reading over skin and bone. This is challenge against material nature, and at once strong and viral of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition in mind. This consciousness is the original energy of living nature. When we hear transcendental vibration, this consciousness is fire, and the process is remembered by our scientists from this stage. By practical experience also, we can perceive that chanting is far or a great chanting for David. One at once, he transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual state. When one is actually on the way of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stage of sense, mind, and intelligence, one is situated on the transcendental way. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, is direct emanation from the spiritual dialogue, surpassing all God's speakers of concept then is sensual, ethical, and reception. There is no need of understanding, neither the control, nor the need of mental speculation, nor intellectual adjustment for chanting thought. Its place uttered comes to that law, and as such, creating on that gift. The sound meditation. In these law, there is an occasion, and God's justice. We have seen it recognized in the chant and yet not chanting, or in the dog and the dog. Chanting is the from the things are the pure of the God, so that immediate effect can be achieved as possible. Chanting from leaves and long to get a fire and not as with that's like years at a second from fire and things are the policy of patience, energy, or extreme and facing in this and then you hear the spirit surrounding in the God. This potential and address of the career in which is God. The material energy God has one is also one of the one potencies of God, as well as we are also online potential of God. Giving entity are described as material energy and action. When material energy is in contact with material energy, it becomes an incompatible. But when the supreme natural potential in the contact with spiritual potential Allah becomes happy, not punished for giving. The three words, energy, Para, Krishna, and Ram, attacks the seed of the common one. And the judge is speaking God of God, and it can down out managing God. But giving protection becomes a chore. The child can get back by changing God and child of art. Art around, that's in the sea, the flame, supreme art, free, or Christian. And the Lord believes in them, is that in fear of God. No other name is that of Kitty Kevin generation in Africa, these as John Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Devita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam.